Well, there's a very exciting trench. Actually straighter than I thought. Ow, bugger, just fell. Well, it's a glorious day here in coastal Maine. Can't believe the weather. This is even too warm. It's got to be close to 60 degrees here a week before Thanksgiving. And I am back here behind the barn, ready to tackle this wasteland. I am going to pull back this bank. You can see where Trixie's standing there. Her back is almost level with ground level here, so I still have to scrape out for the foundation and pull this back to create a better yard there so I can do the work down at the end of the barn. I want to clear away this debris, move that Quonset hut, tear out this fence line, and prep for the drain line that I might put back along there. And where I'm standing here, I want to reduce the height about 4 feet to get down to the clay level. I need to be able to move the cows into this yard at the level that Trixie's standing on, and that'll allow me to put the hay ring in there and they can be fed in there while I'm building the infrastructure on the back end of the barn. But right now, I'm gonna hop in Marianne and get this fencing and area cleared up. I think it's about time to stop for lunch, but I have made some progress, which, I don't know, you got to make a big mess in order to make any kind of progress, so here we are. I've exposed the floor drain line coming out of the creamery floors, and that's gonna now be attached to the new septic system for the parlor. I've torn down the fence going down there, and I've pulled this lumber out so I can get at it to get it out of here. More lumber. And I've scratched out, the fence used to jog right here for some unknown reason. And I've kind of scratched out a little bit of the weeds. There was a lot of dock and some big stones I culled back and got a mound of earth here. So realistically, I still need to scrape down and pull this edge back to enlarge the yard. But getting the fence down all the way to there has been great. I can clean up this wood and maybe get that pile of junk gone. And then I can start to shape. I'm gonna pull the drain line that I just showed you coming, and I'm gonna go down, come out and go down along the stone wall out about 2 feet. Kind of centering it. If I run the edge of the excavator right along the stone wall and dig right in the center of it, I can put that drain line in, and on top of that septic drain line, which I want to stay high up there because it's got to come all the way down here and sit halfway down the barn right there into the septic lines. Well, that's exciting. I just got off the phone with the concrete company. They're shipping the first load of reclaimed concrete blocks, like the giant Legos that I used below for forming the slab, which I haven't poured yet. So they're going to send 21 tomorrow, so I can work on below the barn area sooner than later, because that's great, because I need to get the piles of stone away from the driveway and move them down and use them to backfill the blocks that we're going to place in as a retaining wall below the barn, and that'll allow a ramp up into the barn from the main road and allow the cows to get around. And it's just, I'm hoping that that's really going to be the thing that makes the barn a little more usable and a little bit safer and better and easier for the cows to come in and out of the field, and to also solve a huge problem with a slope. And so that means that I'm going to have to get Marianne out of here by 2 o'clock tomorrow when the block's supposed to show up. So I'm going to have to move this pile of lumber this afternoon and get some stuff cleared out and do some of this other excavation here behind me. to at least now I've got to make a ramp out of here, because this is the only way in and out of the yard at the moment for big equipment. And then so that it's good. It messes up what I'm doing right now, but I'm perfectly fine with that, because I really want to get that block work done, because like I said, those piles of stone are right in the way. We can't get concrete down to pour the slabs because the stones are in the way. So getting those piles of stone out of there will be perfect and will allow a much better situation for the cows. Okay, we are going to do a little spelunking here under the excavator. I was just finishing up excavating out a slope so I could get the excavator Marianne out of the barnyard, and I got down here and I had to move a couple stones, and all of a sudden started losing power. Every time I tried to move the arm or swing or anything, the motor just started choking. It's a diesel, so two things for that are lack of air and lack of fuel. I already blew out the air filter. It was quite choked up, but I tried the excavator again and it wouldn't run. In fact, it may have been worse. It's acting kind of like there's moisture or water in the fuel. So I opened up the drain cock in the bottom of the tank and nothing's coming out. The tank is almost full. So that means there's a blockage of some kind. There's the petcock up there. I'm just gonna set you here. I'm gonna blow some air up into it and see what happens, because if I open this now, nothing happens, and this could be a bad idea. Oh, there we go. All right, well, we're filling up fast. Okay. That definitely had some water in it, and now I've got diesel all over my phone. Yeah, a good, see that liquid right there? That's all water. That's the bottom of the tank. The fact that that was blocked up with something, I mean, there's a lot of sediment, and I hope that the fuel filter, which is just there, isn't blocked either. I don't think so. It looks, yeah, it looks pretty good. Doesn't look like there's a lot of water in there. I don't have a second one of those, so that's a problem. I'm also going to check the hydraulic fluid level. I just looked in the storage and I don't have any extra hydraulic fluid, so I'm going to have to make a run first thing in the morning. I now have a doctor's appointment at 10:45, and the block is supposed to be here at 2 tomorrow. And the concrete company just called me 5 minutes ago and said, could you take that block earlier in the day? That would be beautiful. I said, I can't. The excavator isn't working. I think I can use Gidget, the skid steer, to get the block off the truck if I have to, so I shouldn't have to cancel. But I really don't want Marianne here where she's parked right now in the middle of the barnyard. The cows need to be here. So I'm going to crack on and see what I can do to get this thing started. I should add, don't blow into your fuel tank. Plenty of fuel in there. Don't blow into your fuel tank with the cap on, or you could burst it. I made sure to loosen the cap before I blew air into the tank. Now I've got to loosen this screw bolt. Shoot, I think it's 27. 27 millimeter. Put the 1/2 inch back. I need to loosen that cap bolt so I can get this cap protector out of the way. That's the hydraulic fluid cap. There's no pressure on the hydraulic system. I would say the fluid is way down. Hard to see there. I don't remember how high up the tank it's supposed to be. There is a sight gauge, which is back in there. It's, I don't know, it's the stupidest possible location for a sight gauge. There's no shrouding, no anything that you can remove, right? Nothing there. No anything you can remove to be able to see that sight gauge. And it looks pretty, I can just catch a glimpse of it by that leaf that you see in there. Let's see. There's a leaf back there, out there, and yeah, the sight gauge is tucked in back there. You really just can't see it in any capacity. So, well, I don't know how that corresponds, how the sight gauge corresponds to the level in the tank. I guess I'll have to wait and add some hydraulic fluid. This machine takes a special low zinc hydraulic fluid, and I'm not sure the hydraulic fluid I have for the skid steer will work. I don't want to risk it working. And it's after hours, so I can't call anyone right now. And I'll have to spend $150 tomorrow morning first thing to get a pail of hydraulic fluid for this beast. And just top up that level and make sure that it's not an issue of hydraulic level or something, that it's not generating enough power. Way hey! I got the thing going. Yeah, I managed to get Marianne going. There must have been some sediment in the tank. I ended up having to take off the fuel filter and blow back up through that because it wasn't running either. And I did add a little bit of hydraulic fluid. It turns out the JCB Hydraulic 46 is low zinc as well. So thank God, because I was starting to panic a little bit with the block coming that I really need. And if I don't get it tomorrow, I can't get it till after Thanksgiving or the end of the week after Thanksgiving. So that would really hold up everything. So I'm gonna get Marianne out of here and park her for the night. Well, the truckload of concrete blocks is unloaded, and I just, in order to make it timely for the driver and so I didn't get charged anything extra, I just quickly unloaded them, left them scattered. And so now I'm going to take them and set them there in a more orderly fashion and clear them from the parking lot. I may move some down below with the skid steer, but we're really not ready for them down there yet. It was either get them today or wait 2 to 3 weeks till after the holidays before we could get them. And I'd really, if I get a chance to start this project, I want to go. I'm really not ready for the block down below. I've got that other project with the drainage coming out of the creamery and the drain line to go in first, and then I can worry about the blocks. It's a miserable day on the farm, and we've got easily a ½ inch of rain so far today, which means I'm not going to get any work done. I got the block up above delivered yesterday. There's some from before. So fixing the nightmare mud situation that the cows are standing in right now isn't going to happen today. And the work behind the barn that I've been struggling to get done isn't going to happen either, because the access is flooding and I just don't want to get any equipment stuck. So I'm going to have to find something else to do today. It also means that the drainage work to keep this barnyard here dry, which is filling up with water fast, isn't going to happen today, because the project here behind the barn is on hold now because it's so wet that if I get back in here, I'm going to get something stuck. I'm going to chew everything up. Drain line has to go up there, come around down this stone wall. I got to move all this. I might be able to get myself soaking wet and move this lumber today. So I'm back here behind the barns in a place you probably haven't seen because it's an embarrassing wasteland. This is where the whey at the moment comes out of the creamery, and I gather it in 5-gallon buckets for the pigs. And there's the compressor for the bulk tank, and some other drains and things all come out here. They were meant to be finished right about 3 years ago. And then the back of the barn, and there used to be a whey storage tank there until the bottom rotted out. And we put the trough up there as a temporary solution. So all that needs to be fixed. This is where I'm working, along the fence stone wall where we're putting the drainage. And this has been, in several iterations, a place that we weren't sure about. We finished that barn in 2022 with the idea of putting the milking parlor in between. And for the last 5 years, that's been what the working principle that we've been going under is, that the parlor would be there. But then come this year, when it's been so horrifically wet, and the realization that the yard that I'm standing in now and the barnyard that I've excavated out there in past have always been wet in the winter and spring, and with more cows, more traffic, more impact, it isn't sustainable to have cows outside in the fall, winter, and spring on this ground in this spot, because it's just too unstable. We're at the top of a river valley. This is a lot of fill. We've got a deep clay layer. It just perches. That's when water fills up and fills the soil in the winter. It perches and it just becomes unstable. So the idea now is to extend that barn back to the historic old barn from the 1820s, new covered housing for the cows. And then I was going to put the parlor coming out here towards the new road that's going to be placed and the stone wall. But I actually think it is going to go much better in here. We're going to try and get some help with a design barnyard engineer, basically, is for want of a better term. But I think the parlor should go in this dead space. It's on the north side of the building. It doesn't get a lot of light. This could be cleared up. The cows could flow from the parlor back in and around into the barn, or go down out that way and over. Well, I had a whole explanation about what was going on here, but the camera turned off. So basically talking about putting a new parlor in here, in this space along the barn, building a new barn in between the two barns, and getting rid of the temporary parlor, which is 5 years old, and it was only built for 2 years use. It was just quickly thrown together so we could stop milking in the horse trailer, and it is worn out and too small. We're going to be milking twice as many cows next year this time. And so we've got to get this solution. And that's why I am working back here behind the buildings, behind the barns, solve this problem, solve some runoff issues, get a better situation for the cows when we're going to be milking more cows. These are the things I think about basically every day while I'm back here gathering whey for the pigs. Well, trying to do some work in Marianne this morning, and that's the windscreen, so I guess I didn't get it fixed. Gonna have to get a new one. So that's gotta happen. I'm totally blind. The bucket's out there somewhere. Just can't see it. I gotta keep going like this, and even that's not great. Well, I've been out digging in the backyard behind the barns to put in drainage trenches, and things were going along well-ish. There's a little bit of a problem because we're hemmed in by the barn on that side and the stone wall on that side, and behind me all of the stuff that I haven't moved out of here because I'm trying to do this in a time pressure, and Thanksgiving is coming up on Thursday, which is really going to stall things because everything's shut down for 2 days after that, and I have a deadline of November 28th to be done with this drainage project so I can get a little grant money for it, which doesn't cover a fraction of the cost. So but I have to try to get that applied to this, so I've got to get this done, which meant I didn't dispose of this lumber like I wanted to. I'm also hemmed in by the fact that now the cows are in the barn. It's a little bit of a trial to get through this yard, plus the grade change is significant enough that it's hard to get Gidget up into this area easily. The easiest way is also the wettest and swampiest way, down below the barn, and I don't think I'd make it. I'm standing on top of the spoils pile, which is 4 or 5 feet above grade, which is now, I'm looking out, I'm about 16 feet in the air above towards the building. So getting Gidget up in here, the skid steer, would be a little bit tricky. I may have to find a way, because now that I've done this work, I've been going since after milking this morning, just to try and get this project motivated, because we have to, like I said, get that grant. So we have to connect to that drain line there, which is the floor drains of the creamery, and it has to come around and go down the hill towards the new parlor where it'll meet the new milking parlor lines. And then here in this trench is a curtain drain to try and capture all the water that runs off of here and the roofs of those 2 buildings so it doesn't flood this yard. The curtain drain is what NRCS is paying for. The floor drain is just running along in the trench for the ride. I have to bed the curtain drain in drain rock, and right now I have no way of getting that drain rock back here because it has to be clean. It has to be put around the drain tile in a certain way so it drains, and then it has to be covered with some filter fabric before I backfill it. And right now that yard is the only way to get here with Gidget, and there's about a 5-foot drop from the far end of the building to this end where I would have to put the stone. And so turning around and getting in and out of there, if we're supposed to get a really sloppy day of rain tomorrow, so if we get the 1.5 inches of rain that they're predicting, this could all be moot. These trenches could be full of water, and it could be a swamp back here, and the way in and out for that drain rock. So I'm not looking forward to that. I may have to find another way to get Gidget back here. But currently that's not the issue. Right now I'm shut down and not digging because Marianne broke a tooth. Now may have seen the video where I replaced the teeth. They're really easy. I just have to go get a spare that I have, but that's annoying because those are brand new teeth and I've lost one. They're like $25 each, 25 bucks each or something like that. And it's here in the spoil pile somewhere, I'm sure, but anybody's guess in there, and I don't want to take the time to go dig out a metal detector and try and find it. So I'm just going to go down below and grab another tooth. Well, there's a very exciting trench. Actually straighter than I thought. Ow, bugger, just fell. Well, there's a very straight trench and a very large pile of spoils from said trench. And I'm not sure how far we are. I have to put in 102 feet of 6-inch drain line. That's what the grant is for. And I have to get from the pipe up there, the floor drain pipe up there, to somewhere here in the middle of the barn eventually. I can't do it right now. The parlor and all the other barn activity has to happen first because I need to get the grades right to set the septic tanks that go here that this line will tie into. But I'm pretty sure right now with the height and the slope of everything, where I'm ending up on the floor of my trench should be okay to still have to dive into where those septic tanks are going to have to go. I probably should shoot some grade, but I'm not going to today. It's getting late. I still have to put some firewood in the wood boiler and stock it and do some other things before evening chores. So the trench, so the pipe, I'm just going to run 112 feet or whatever of the 4-inch pipe that I need to, just to stub it out here for now. It sucks having to leave an open pit and not be able to finish anything, but at least I've got that pipe extended down here away from where it's been fueling the water running into the barnyard. This is below, not by much, but below the barnyard, so even if it soaks in here, that'll be fine. And then I have 102 feet of the other pipe. I'm not sure what NRCS is going to say about the depth of the pipe, because I still want to leave and I made the trench so deep. It's about 5 foot plus deep, not because of freezing or anything, but because I don't know what's going to happen on this top grade. I'm imagining taking the top grade down a foot or two maybe to level it out. Certainly if I put a road in here going up to the corner of the parlor and be able to let the cows out, so, and maybe have a yard outside the parlor here. So I want to have options. Always leave yourself options. And one of those options is to be able to scrape cut the yard down a couple feet without interfering with these pipes. And I need to figure that out, because I also want to put a gravel road over the top of this trench, which again will help it from not ever being disturbed. Because really this is the only two things coming through here, that 6-inch drain possibly and the 4-inch drain coming down to the septic. Because all the other services heading to those new septic tanks by the barn can come through the foundations of the parlor and the new barn. So I'm not worried. This is so futile digging a big ditch like this just to run 4-inch pipe. But A, it's the size bucket I have, and it's only taking me a couple hours really to do this. And it's just gonna be a mess filling it back in. I still don't know how I'm gonna fill this back in. If the ground solidifies here, there is actually a way to maybe, where Dulcie's standing there in a puddle of water, if I can get that end fixed and scraped down, then I can come up with Gidget into here, move this soil out of my way, and then be able to backfill the trench. And then, depending on the grade of the 6-inch line, I may put the 4-inch line first and then backfill on top of the 4-inch line a little ways and keep the 6-inch line as the running drain line above the 4-inch. In which case, some of these spoils will go back in the trench and I'll have a more open place to run Gidget. And I shoved this old chicken coop out of my way. It really just needs to go away. But I'm not sure where, and I don't want to take time. And normally, I've got a hell of a mess here. Normally, I just hate leaving a mess like that, because it's just gonna be the mess that keeps on giving. I'm gonna have to be cleaning up this. It's all mixed in with soil and garbage and trees, but I'm just racing to get this done, because I really, if we're gonna get those grants pay for this, I've got to get this done before the end of the month. And so it's just kind of, I know there's time, but I want to make sure there's time, because there's plenty that can go wrong. And we've got sloppy weather coming in a day, and that could really change everything. And then it's also winter, and wow. So yeah, made myself a big mess, and I'll deal with it. Yeah. Well, I was going to climb over and show you how much water is standing in that trench, but I don't dare, because the ground is so soft it's caving in under me. And there is the swamp cow swimming pool. That is the new barnyard. I'm gonna have to come out here tomorrow and trench that water out of there, thereby cutting my access to the trench here. We knew that this rain was coming, but we also have a deadline that we're up against to get this. Got that roll of 6-inch drain tile this morning, and that white septic line up there, that's got to go in this trench Can't do it tomorrow. Tomorrow's Thanksgiving. Maybe it'll dry out. I gotta do this Friday and Saturday it's supposed to be in the single digits with a minus wind chill. So that'll be fun. All this wet. Yeah, it's not ideal.